Okay, welcome everybody to this Sunday lecture series. Thank you so much, the King, for this privilege and opportunity. This Sunday lecture series has been an amazing impact on all our lives, and to help us understand more on the law of assumption that we all do practice. And like the King said the other last Sunday, that we all, or what we are saying here is the same thing, but we are expressing it in different ways. So once again, I want to say welcome to the Sunday lecture series, God's Perfect Image. And so today we are looking at God's perfect name. God's perfect name. And because we want to understand some biblical truth, we'll read some Bible passages. And for us to understand God's perfect name, I want us to read Exodus chapter number 3, and we'll read verse 13 and 14. It says, "And Moses said unto God, Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, The God of your fathers have sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, What is his name? What shall I say unto them?" And 14 says, "And God said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, Thus shall you say unto the children of Israel, I am has sent me unto you." Now, what I want us to understand, we all know by now that the Bible has no reference to any physical events that occurred in time. Everything about the scripture, according to what we have learned from novel, is a psychological revelation, a psychological truth. And so when it says that Moses acts, it's not like Moses is talking to another being. They are all within the individual. It is all within us. And God saying that I am that I am, and that I am has sent me unto you. I am the I am, and I have sent me unto me. And so I want us to understand in the first place that the name of God, like we just discovered, is I am. And I am, like we know, is just the broken down pieces of the real name of God for us to be able to pronounce it, for all to be able to get a word that we can use to relate it to ourselves. And so if you actually, excuse me, if you actually gone through the real name of God that as written in the Hebrew tongue, it is, I don't know how to pronounce it, but I pronounce it as Yod He Vahe. That's the name of God. And this name in the Hebrew tongue is not something that is explode like as I'm talking to you. So if we want to really get the meaning or understand the perfect name of God, we have to look at what those symbols represent. And so the name of God, the perfect name of God, has this 4 letters that I just pronounced: JodhevaU and He. And so the first letter, which is Yod, Jod, in the name of God, is represented with a symbol of a hand. And one of the things that separates all human beings from all other creation is the hand. What we see in the monkey, what we see in other animals is not a hand, because it is just used for eating and maybe swinging. But the hand of a human being is what actually makes us creative. So to describe the God that we talk about, to know his name perfectly, a hand was used to describe the first symbol of God, which is the creative power of God. That is what God used to create. That is what God used to mold. That is what God used in creating everything. So a hand, like I just said, is what we actually use to mold our life, mold and create things for ourselves. So, and that hand does not just mean the hand as in your physical hand now, but that is actually the creative power of God. Now, before I go further, I want us to understand something, that the name of God is not separate from God. The name of God is actually God. And you and I have come to understand over time that we're studying this, that you and I is the God that we are talking about. And your name is what you, as in I'm talking about physically in a 3D now, your name is what you identify yourself with. So if someone asks you, what is your name? You will say, I am blessed. So in the process of pronouncing your name, you are actually pronouncing God. And that is that is the name of God forever and ever. He said, if you read further in Bible, you discover that God even says that, as in when I say God, I know that you know that I'm talking about you, right? So when God said, that is my name forever. So that being said, the yod in the as the first symbol of the name of God, which I said is the hand, it actually represents to be aware, to be aware. And for every human being, one of the things that we carry is the awareness. That's the thing that separates us from everything. That is God himself, to be aware. Now, I want you to also understand, like I said before, that the name of God, the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, or the God, or Lord Jehovah, all of those things were coinage that we human brought out for us to be able to relate that this is what we are talking about. But honestly, the name of the God of God cannot be pronounced. It cannot be pronounced because it is an awareness. It is something that you carry everywhere you go. That is the consciousness that we talk about. So the name of God, the perfect name of God, is actually consciousness. It is not God that I just pronounced. Those are just representation that we have formed to know that, okay, we are talking about this. So the name of God is actually the awareness. So that is why I said to be aware. Yod is to be aware, and that is the name of God. So when you hear somebody, or when you hear that is said, oh, God or Jehovah or Lord, and all of those names that we actually use to identify him, that is not actually the name of God. The perfect name of God is your awareness. The perfect name of God is our awareness. So when you are aware that you are actually hearing my voice now, that is the name of God. And think about it. Who does not carry awareness? Everyone carries the awareness everywhere they go. In the things that we do, we are all aware of the things. You may not know who you are. You may not even know where you are. And you can never not be aware. So I was talking to my wife the other day, and I gave an example that, okay, when somebody is kidnapped and his face is covered in the process of taking them away, wherever they are carrying them to, they don't know the direction. When they finally open their eyes, they don't know the direction where they come from to that point. But there will never a time that they will not be aware of themselves. So that awareness, that knowing is actually God, and that is the name that God gave us as his name. That is why he told Moses, he said, when they ask you, tell them, I am has sent me unto you. So it is my awareness that has actually sent me unto me. So the name of God is not pronounced, but it is the awareness that we all carry. So no one can say that I don't have God, or contrary to the popular belief, or the way we have been brought up to see God as an external being. God is actually our awareness. And so he said, that is my name forever. Now, going back to the Yod He Vah He that I talked about, the second letter in that the name of God is He, which is He. That is the way I pronounce it. So, and that is to be aware. Don't forget, I said Yod is to be aware. Now, He is to be aware of something. To be aware of where you are now, to be aware that you are hearing my voice. They are two different awareness. So that is the second letter in the name of God. Then the third letter, in which is vow, is the name of God, is to be aware of being the state decided on. I will say that again. The vow is to be aware of being the state decided on. What that means is that the vow, the symbol or the thing they use to represent the vow is a nail. And what does a nail do? In this part of what I know a nail does is, because I'm a builder, is that we use nail to join two things together. So to be aware of being something is the nail that joins you with the thing. So that is a symbol that they used in representing the name of God. So you have to be aware, which is the Yod, and you have to be aware of something for something. Be aware of something. For instance, you are aware that you want to be gainfully employed. That is to be aware of something. Now, to the vow, which is the nail, joins you to that awareness, that thing that you have decided to be aware of. So you actually, the nail or the vow is what actually fuses you with your desired, with your desire. And there is another He in the name of God, which is, okay, I don't remember if I mentioned what the symbol of the first He. The symbol of the He in the name of God is actually a window. And a window, the mind of a man is the window of the man. So the He is actually a window. Now we have two windows in the name of God. One is to be aware, where while the last letter, the second He in the name of God is bearing witness of the internal imagery that you've been aware of. So one is going inside to be aware of your desired state, the state that you want to dwell on. And the second He is the externalization of that internal imagery that you have dwelt on before. So you see that the name of God is actually the creative power of God. It is the creative process that God has given unto you and I, that we have given unto ourselves to actually become whatever that we want to be. So when you hear the name of God from this minute onward, know that you are actually talking about your name first. Then know that your name is the creative process that we have been practicing with different techniques and different techniques and different methods that we have learned along the line. Now, I want you to understand something. I want you to understand that the name I am is actually, like I said earlier on, is actually my consciousness, your being aware, just being aware that you know that you are is the name or the I am that we are talking about. But like I said, it is not a name that we pronounce with our with voice or words like this. It is actually a knowing that you carry on along. So let me give you a practical example. I was talking with a friend the other day, and we're talking about actually repentance, and he was telling me that to repent, you must believe in your heart and confess with your mouth, which is the orthodox way of interpreting the scriptures. But I said, so supposing I am blind, or supposing I am blind and I am deaf, I can't, I am deaf, I am dumb, I can't talk. Does that mean that I can't actually confess? I say when Bible is talking about confession or speaking, is actually not the 3D speaking, but the internal voicing, the things that we say internally. So whether you are blind, whether you are deaf, whether you are dumb, you still carry an awareness. You still carry a knowing that you are. So the name of God is the awareness that we carry wherever we go. So I will read a Bible portion, because now knowing the name is one, but how do we use the name for ourselves? And because I said earlier on that the name of God given to us is actually God himself. And if that is God himself and that is the creative power, he has given it unto us so that we can use it to create whatever that we want for ourselves, to create whatever we desire for ourselves. So in I think is Second Chronicles, Second Chronicles chapter number Second Chronicles chapter number 7. I will read verse 5. I'll read verse 14 rather. It says, if my people, don't forget, you are the one talking. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sins and will heal their land. Now, if me, blessed Agada, that is called by the name of God, because God, in the beginning, when God created me, or when I created myself, I gave everything to myself. He said it is the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, and he gave us everything. So if I shall me that is called by, I humble myself and pray, and now we know that prayer is the subjective appropriation of our objective ideal. So prayer is not talking to one deity out there that we actually come and do something for you, but you subjectively appropriating your desired state that you want and actually being seen yourself in it. Because we read somewhere in the Gospels where he said, when you pray, believe that thou hast received and you will have it. And so the way to believe that I have received is to subjectively see myself already having that which I desire. So if I will seek, if I will humble myself and actually go to my imagination and appropriate what I desire as already having it, he said he will heal our land. So you discover here that the name of God is all that is God. Your name is all that you are, and your name we have identified as your awareness. And so there is something I read in Exodus chapter 3 verse 13, when it talks about, it said, I am that I am. I am that I am is God's name. He said, that is my name forever. I am that I am. I am aware that I am what I desire to be. And that is the name of God. I am conscious of being gainfully employed, like the example I said, and see myself that I am gainfully employed, someone congratulating me. I am that. That is the name of God forever. And so we as doers of the word of God, the awakened people, when we find the name of God, it says it becomes a strong tool to us. And when we run towards it, we are saved. I think you read that in is it sorry, okay. You read that in okay, when I get it, I will drop it for us. So the name of the Lord to us that are doers is a strong tower. Is a strong tower means is it is where we go for creation. So like the definition I gave from the beginning about to be aware and to be aware of something and to be aware of being that thing and externalize it, you discover that in all the practices all the techniques rather, that we use in practicing, in realizing our desire, that is the process that we go through. So you hear something like, what do you want? And you itemize what you want. So for now, let's use, I want to be gainfully employed. So you become aware that I am in the state of not being employed, but now I want to be gainfully employed. So you become aware of that. And the second letter, which is the window, to be aware of something, that is, you have decided in the first one, you just itemize it. It's just like the title of a movie. Then the second letter, to become aware of something. Now you become aware of being gainfully employed. And when you become aware of being gainfully employed, the third, which is the vowel or the nail that joins it, that is where your feeling comes in. You go to your imagination and actually see yourself being gainfully employed. Don't forget, 3D has nothing to do with this. 3D has absolutely nothing to do with this, because these are just psychological truths. And when you go to your imagination and actually see yourself, hear someone congratulates you for that you are gainfully employed, you are actually feeling, you are hearing, and you are being joined to what you were only aware of. And that joining is what produces the second window, which is the externalization of your desired result. And so you discover that the name of God, like I said, is the creative power. It is the totality of God pattern that he has given, that we have given to ourselves. Anytime I use he, don't think I'm speaking of any other person outside of you or outside of me. It is me that I have given to myself. So from the beginning of creation, when Bible says, and God created man in his image and likeness, that image and likeness is actually the name of God. That is the consciousness of God. And Bible went further to say, and God breathed into man, and man became a living soul. That breath is not the breathing and breathing out that you are just breathing. It's actually the name of God, the consciousness of God that God placed in man. And so when you actually understand God from this level that I'm talking about, you now know the perfect name of God. And don't forget, there is also the promise, but because we have not gotten to that point yet, because no one knows the time when the promise will be fulfilled in us, whilst we still stay in this Caesar, the world of Caesar, this 3D, let us exercise our name, the creative power in us to actually live the kind of life that we want, to actually be the kind of person we truly desire to be. And that is the four symbol of the name of God that I have shared with us, that we have to use to bring our subjective desire into our objective reality. So the name of God, like I said, I've said several things, but I want to itemize them out. I said the name of God is God himself. I also said that the name of God is the totality of the creative power of God. And that is the thing that we gave to ourselves. That is what God gave to us. That is what we gave to ourselves. And if we gave all to ourselves, and that is the creative power, until we come to the promise, when scripture is fulfilled in us, let us test our creative power. Let us use our creative power. I was studying as it called prayer, the act of believing, the greatest prayer. And somewhere in the text, it is said that imagination is the beginning of creation, and that you desire a thing and believe it to be so, and it becomes so. Those are the first two lines of that text of that chapter. So if imagination is the beginning of creation, and we have imagination as our God, oftentimes you hear Neville talks about your wonderful human imagination is God. Your wonderful human imagination is the Christ. Your wonderful human imagination is the creative power. When you hear all of those things, that is actually the God that we talk about, and that is actually the name of God that we talk about. But like I said earlier on, these other names that we call God, they are devised for us to actually understand that, okay, this is what we are talking about. But the real name of God cannot actually be pronounced. You carry it. It is a knowing that you have. It is a consciousness that you carry everywhere you go, whether you are poor, whether you are rich, whether you are whatever you are, you carry this consciousness. Now, because that is the creative power, it is now what we are conscious of that we now experience in our lives. Yesterday morning, I think, was it yesterday? Okay, not yesterday. I think 2 days ago, I called Adelere and I said certain things, King Adelere, and I said certain things. And after I dropped the call, I came to the realization that that is actually my consciousness. And because that is my consciousness, that is what I carry around. And now that I have realized it, what do? I pray, I revise it, I use the name of God. The Bible, I put it somewhere. It said, if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray, he said he will heal our land. So I humble myself by subjectively going to my mind and reappropriate what I truly desire. Because most of the times we think that some things are not our fault. In John chapter 1, it said, 1 verse 3, I think, say all things were made by him. Without him, there is nothing made that is made. So without our consciousness, there is no result that we see in the 3D that is not our consciousness is not the creator, that the name of God is not the creator. So when I come to that realization, I went back and reappropriated it. And I drew it from when Jeremiah, I think somewhere in Jeremiah, I've forgotten the passage now, where it said, go to the potter's house, and there I will tell you my word, and you will hear my word. And he went there, and he said, when he got to the potter's house, I'm paraphrasing now, and when he got to the potter's house, he saw the potter that he was molding, he was working on his wheel, he was trying to create an object, and along the line, the object got spoiled. He said, but the potter did not throw the spoiled object away. Rather, he made that same vessel into another vessel that seems good to the potter. And I am the potter, you are the potter. So when I realized that actually what I was trying to explain was created from the name of God, which is my consciousness, I did not throw it away, and I use it to mold another vessel, which seems good to me, because everything about scripture, everything about Bible, everything about creation is about you, it's about the individual, it's about I. It is about me, it is about you, it is about the other person. So what I want us to draw from this, or what I want us to understand from the totality of all that I've said, is the name of God is your name. The name of God is your consciousness. The name of God is your creative power. So everything that we have experienced, everything that we are going to experience is our creation, the creation from the name of God, because all things are made by our consciousness from the name of God. So when you hear that pray in the name of God, when you hear that we pray in the name of God, it is not by externally saying or calling one thing that is God. That is not the name of God. Praying in the name of God is understanding and coming to the realization that what I am conscious of, that is what I am praying, and therefore that is what I will get. So the question we should ask ourselves as doers. Okay, thank you. And so we should always know that the name of God is not something that we pronounce. It is not something that is written. Yes, words are written on paper that we can use to identify God. Word sounds are coined that we can use to identify the name of God. But all of those is not the name of God. The perfect name of God is our consciousness. That is what we carry everywhere we go. That is why Neville will say it does not matter where you are, whether you be in a bar or in a forest. When you want something, just be conscious of it by becoming aware of it and subjectively appropriate it by seeing yourself already in that your fulfilled desire, and that will externalize itself. And so when you know it from this angle, that it is what I am aware of, that I am praying for, that I am creating in my life, you will pay more attention to your desired result. I deal the Well Drill 2.0 with Adelere, and he gave us an assignment that for the next 10 days, all we should be conscious of is just being wealthy. That anything that is not wealth, we should not entertain it. When it comes to our consciousness, we should replace it with us being wealthy. And so that is the creative, that is one of the things I drew from there is what I am saying now. That is because that is what we are conscious of. That is what we will create. Because that is what we are conscious of. That is what we are actually praying to have. And so if you are conscious of oh, I did everything and it didn't come to pass. Don't forget, that is also consciousness. That is also the name of God. And the name of God will always create. He said he sent forth his word, and his word healed them and delivered them from that destruction. And he said, no jot of my word that he has sent forth will come unfulfilled. What that simply means is nothing that I am conscious of being will not materialize. Everything that I'm conscious of being, whether be it good, bad, or indifferent, will materialize into our reality. So the question now is, what will you be conscious of being? Will you be conscious of being the things that you do not desire? Or will you be conscious of the things that you truly desire? Because that point, I learned it in a hard way, but I learned that when you are conscious of your desire not coming to pass the time you want it and talking about it, you are actually conscious of not having it. And that is also a creation. So what will you rather be? Understanding it from this perspective, you will always pay attention to what you are conscious of being, because the name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runs into it and they are saved. The only way to run to the name of God and be saved is to be conscious, because consciousness is the name, is to be conscious of what you are being, is to be conscious of what you are accepting as true to yourself, is to be conscious of what you consent to. So when you consent to the fact that, oh, I have imagined it has not happened, what you just said is you have just made a creation. And most of the time when you dwell, or most of the time we tend to dwell in it, we want to find out why is it not coming to pass yet. But it is also said in the scriptures that every seed has its appointed time. And if every seed has its appointed time, are you going to force it to come the time that it is not its appointed time? There is nothing we do about it. It's coming. That is why Neville will always say that you need no man. You don't need to raise a finger for it to come to pass. And the things that I have manifested in my life, I did not raise a finger. I'll share one with you. I went to Lagos sometime last year. That was November last year. I've shared it before with King Adelere. And I wanted to be in a wedding. And all I did was to be conscious by subjectively appropriating that I was in the wedding and I was welcomed by the person that was doing the wedding. That's all I did. And after some days, about 2, 3, 4, 5 days, I can't really remember exact now, a call was placed to me to say that, can I come to do a job in Lagos? And I accepted, and it fell on the period or the time that I wanted to attend the wedding. I didn't have a dime as at the time I desired it, but a job came that provided the money that would take me there and brought me back. And I went there, and that call kept me actually in Lagos for 2 months. And and the funniest thing was, or the sweetest thing, it was not funny, it was the beautiful thing was, I was told from when I was called that what I am going to do is urgent and I need to come immediately. And I went immediately. That's 2 days to the wedding that I want to attend. And when I got there, the thing that they say was urgent was not ready until 4 days after, before it was ready and I began. And what does that mean? It gives me room to attend the wedding that I had desired, that I had appropriated earlier. So what am I trying to say here. I'm trying to say that we don't need to begin to worry ourselves on how it's going to be created and how it's going to work. All we need to do is to be conscious of it, like the name of the Lord say, be aware of it, and now be aware of what we want, and actually go to our imagination and see ourselves already having it, and the rest will take care of itself. Like Neville will say, your imagination knows ways that it will bring your desired result to manifestation. So I want to say once again, thank you all for coming. Thank you for listening to me. And I want to give King Adelere a very big thank you for the mentorship, for the teachings, for the guidelines that he has actually given me over time, that has actually brought me thus far. I count it a privilege that I am the one anchoring this today. So whilst I stop here, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for everyone. King Adelere, if you're around, I want you to come on. If there are announcements, I know that there are announcements that you will want us to have, and so we can take them now. Or before he comes, is there any question? Is there any any question? Okay, I suppose there are none. Okay, so whilst I wait for King Adere, these Sundays lecture series, they come every Sunday by 1 p.m. Nigerian time, and I don't know what time it. You can use a time checker or any application that can actually translate it to you, so that you can know exact time. But those of us that are here, I know that we already know the time in the various places that we are listening from. So that is an announcement. And also, whilst we still wait for King Adelere, I want us to also, excuse me, I want us to also know that every month there are practices that King Adelere has put into monthly practices that all of us can actually attend to exercise and train our imagination to produce the desired result that we want. So if you can always chat him up and make a registration and be part of this. What gave me this boldness that I am the one anchoring this is because I have learned with him since I think September also last, is it September? No, around August, September last year till now. And those have actually developed me to this point. Yeah, it is not about just the knowing, but I have actually experienced significant experiences by realizing my desires. And I've also gone through the coaches academy that he is a facilitator, and I am also a coach. And so you can also reach out to me. I practice revision perfectly, inner conversation, self-concept, and all the things that you know. I have gotten results in every one of them. Result, when I mean result, King Adere can testify because I share them with him and those of us that know me. And so you can always reach me, and we work together. And don't forget, reaching me means you are reaching King Adere because I coach with him on his platform. So once again, I want to say thank you very much. And King Adere, are you here now?
Yes, I'm here, Blessed. Thank you very much, Blessed.
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
so um, Blessed has given us a very fantastic lesson there, and I know that everyone who's present here, you got to see God's perfect name, not only in theory but also in action. But don't just be a hearer and not a doer of the word. I know a person who um, I've heard the story of, let me say, a person who studied with Neville every day for 2 years. She was going to attend his lectures every single day. She would sit there in the audience of maybe about 1,600 to 2,600 people, sometimes 500. But she'd sit in the lecture, listen to this man speaking about the power of imagination and revision. She would hear everything. It sounded so amazing, so fantastic. But at the end of the day, she would go back home the same way. For those 2 years, she was estranged from her son, from her daughter in law, and from her grandson, who are the most important people in her life at the time. And so, 2 years, she sent gifts to her grandson without any feedback from the family. They were not in contact, they wanted nothing to do with her. And she was stuck that way. She never practiced any of the things that Neville was saying concerning this particular affair of her life, which was, well, one of the most important aspects of her life. But she always heard it. She enjoyed to hear this man speaking about it in the most fantastic way. Don't be like that woman. Not, of course, not because she didn't get the result at the end of the day, because I know that for most of us here, we could probably remember when Neville shared a story of how in 7 days of applying revision, she got the result. She mentally constructed a letter in her mind. She imagined she received these two letters, one from her son, one from her daughter in law, both of them telling her of how much they've loved her and how much they've missed her and how much they would love to see her again. And she every night after night, she revised that during the day, she received this letter and joyfully read it, night after night for 7 days. On the eighth day, the letter was really in a mailbox. That was amazing, right? I mean, for 2 years. Do you know how many days that is? 2 years. That's over 700 days. And she had nothing, right? For 2 years, she had nothing. And then came someone, so rather, then came the revision. And yes, actually, there came someone who came into Neville's lectures for 2 weeks, about 2 to 3 weeks. She applied what she heard from Neville, and then Neville shared the result on the platform about 3 weeks after she was attending. And she said to herself, I've been sitting down here for 2 years. I've heard this particular principle in 2 years, and I never applied it. I never thought it's powerful enough or important enough to be applied to this area of my life. And I'm beaten by it every day. So she began to apply a revision. So don't be a hearer alone. Be a doer of what you've heard. And one of the ways you can, of course, begin to ensure that you really do is to learn with Blessed. And I've just posted some of this coaching packages right there for you so that you can book a session with him if you would like to go deeper into studying with him. He has offered courses on both uh, inner conversations and revision. So we've heard about God's perfect name, Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh. That's the name of God. That name appears in the Bible more than 6,000 times. But like Neville said in one of his lectures, Call Upon Self, he said, but the scriptures we have, it is paraphrased. It is a paraphrased text, the English versions we have. For example, for when you see the word Lord, Lord, it's generally means, it's actually not generally, it's actually specifically means Yod A Vowel A. That's the word that is translated as Lord, capital Lord. If you use King James Version, New King James, or um, English Standard Version, or RSV, you would see it as capital. In some, you'd see it as Jehovah, and in some, you'd see it as Yahweh. But it is I am. That is the word. That's mentioned 6,000 times in the Bible. That's your name forever. You can never, that's what Blessed said there. You can never identify yourself without first identify yourself as this name. So call upon the name of the Lord. And that's we've learned from Blessed today doesn't mean to call on someone or some external idea or being. It means to call upon self. and persuade yourself that you have one. And he shared us a story of how he did it and how it worked for him. So let us put it to practice also. And Blessed has already given us two important announcements. The first is that this lecture series holds every Sunday. It's holding from this month of June until July. So next week we're going to be having another session from another coach, from one of our coaches. Could be Blessed or could be someone else, but we would know it during the week. And so expect the lecture that's coming up next week Sunday. Then second is that next month we're going to be having another monthly exercise, and you're welcome to join. And I suppose that for the rest of this month, from this day until the end of the month, there'd actually be a discount for everyone who wants to join next month's coaching exercise. Um, if you were alive during Neville's time and you wanted to always hear from Neville, that's exactly what you'd also have to do. You'd have to always book the sessions every month together with the rest of the class. We have all of his amazing recordings today, but we don't realize that they were actually paid for at the time by most people who attended, and it was the people who attended who recorded these sessions for him, and that's how we were able to have them today in his voice. And sometimes, of course, the recordings they would translate or they would transcribe, so we had the transcripts also. So you can please make this decision for yourself very importantly, and then attend. And yes, the final announcement, and then we go from here, is that in the month of July, we're going to be working on self concept. Um, in July itself, the book Self Concept is going to be released, The Power of Self Concept. So if you haven't pre ordered it, this is the time to pre order it at a massive 60 to 70% discount. That's the first. Then, second is that we're going to actually be having a self concept masterclass that would be quite intensive together with the coaches from Academy of Coaches. So get ready for that. If you want a really powerful transformation in your life, this is the time to get yourself prepared for it. This is the month it's a being. Okay, there's just one thing I'll tell you: there's no going back from an amazing life when you begin to have it because it's so enjoyable. You would even forget that you ever had something that is not as good as what you have right now. You would forget you ever were somewhere that's not as great. So if that's something you like, if that is my disclaimer. If that disclaimer works for you, that you would so much lose touch with the life that you don't like that you can't even relate to the fact that you've never had it, that you've had it once, rather. You can't relate to the fact that you've had it once. If that is something you're okay with, well then register for this um, session coming up. The link would be available in a short while, but then I think it would actually start with an offer with a discount. So as a result of that, um, well, the link would be available. That's the summary. So everyone, thank you all and have a great time. Bye bye.